Supposedly Pastor Radley put it out on Facebook saying that they're closing Vicky and everybody needs to come tonight. That's not from. That's what Lynette. No, but that's what Lynette read on Facebook that Pastor Radley put out. Yeah, yeah.
Call the Dale City City Council meeting for March 6, 2023. Call to order. Melissa, would you read the roll, please?
Councilman Gandy,
Here.
Councilwoman Mooney. Here. Councilwoman Finch,
Here.
Councilman Dean,
Here.
and Mayor Eason.
And the mayor is here. Would you rise for the invocation, please? I'd like to ask Pastor Graham Turk to approach the podium and open our meeting.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for your grace and your love to us. I pray, Lord, that you be with us this evening as lots of different decisions are being made and things and people being recognized. I pray, Lord, that you watch over the city, especially the leadership and those that are in law enforcement, the firefighters and emergency responders. I pray watch over and, Lord, give them safety and wisdom with all that they do. And I pray, Lord, that you bless this city. And, Lord, we thank you for your grace on us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I'd like to ask my friend Danny Smart to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. We're going to start the meeting off with a proclamation, Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. Whereas autism affects an estimated 1 in 44 children and is a complex disorder that affects each person differently, resulting in unique strengths and challenges. Whereas autism can cause challenges with verbal and nonverbal communication, social interaction, and repetitive behaviors, and can affect anyone regardless of age, race, ethnicity, gender, or socioeconomic background. And whereas autism is often accompanied by medical conditions that impact quality of life, and whereas a comprehensive collaborative approach will help to advance research, providing a better understanding of the many forms of autism while strengthening advocacy efforts and ensuring access to services and resources throughout the lifespan. Whereas early diagnosis and intervention tailored to individual needs can have lifelong benefits, easing the transition to adulthood and fostering greater independence. And whereas each person and family affected by autism should have access to reliable information, support, and opportunities to live up to their greatest potential. And whereas the City of Dale City is honored to take part in the annual observance of Autism Acceptance Month and World Autism Day to address the diverse needs of individuals and families affected by autism. Now therefore I, Floyd Eason, Mayor of the City of Dale City, Oklahoma, hereby proclaim April 2023 as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month in the City of Dale City to increase understanding and acceptance of Oklahomans with autism spectrum disorder. Signed, Floyd A. Eason, Mayor. We have another proclamation, and I believe Vice Mayor Pam Finch is going to read that one.
Proclamation, Fair Housing Month. Pursuant to the authority granted to him, the Mayor of Dale City, he does hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 as Fair Housing Month and the decree that all citizens affirm to follow the concepts, practices, and intent embodied by the laws of the United States of America, the state of Oklahoma, and the city of Del City in regard to fair housing. The city of Del City encourages each citizen to implement the provisions of Del City's Fair Housing Ordinance. The council has further designated the city clerk as the Fair Housing Activities Coordinator and requests that any person or group of persons planning activities to promote fair housing to inform the Fair Housing Activities Coordinator of said activities. It is the desire of the city of Del City to recognize those persons or groups who best create an awareness of the need for the housing practices and otherwise promote fair housing practices. As he witnesses his hand as mayor of the city of Del City, affixed in the city of Del City, sealed this 6th day of March in the year of our Lord, 2023.
All right, thank you, Pam. Move on to item number 4, public and council input. Is there anybody that would like to address the council on non-agenda items? If so, step forward to the podium, please. State your name and address for the clerk.
Claudia Brown from the UPN at 3340 Del Air Place. Thank you. The one thing that is not on the agenda that I wanted to discuss today, and I'm glad to have the fire chief and the police chief here today. I've had some calls from residents regarding the traffic that overflows into the streets from the baseball field over by the high school. Driving by, I did see there is a lot of illegal parking going on inside the parking area, and then it does just kind of come out to the street where people are parking in the grass, people are parking on the side. And I'd like to just get together with possibly the chief and the fire chief, and of course, the city manager to see what it is that we can do to alleviate some of that, overgrown traffic, all of that terrible parking that is done. After driving through the parking area, you can see it'd be very difficult for any vehicle, medical vehicle, even the fire trucks to get through. So it's definitely something that I want to put on something for you guys to discuss and hopefully try to find some solutions there, having heard from more than one resident.
Is this primarily on the weekends?
Yes, Saturday and Sundays. And it does go out into the evening sometimes when there's double headers or championships. I have heard that it can go out into sometimes 11 o'clock, almost midnight, where it gets pretty bad. People are not stopping at stop signs. They are going way past the speed limit, and it gets pretty dangerous. Thank you for your consideration. I'll probably speak with you guys.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the council on non-agenda items? Seeing none? Councilman Gandy.
Hope everyone's enjoying this awesome weather. It's been nice getting out and seeing neighbors for the first time in 6 months, it feels like. It's been pretty cold, but I don't have anything overly important this evening, so thanks.
Councilman Mooney.
Well, I'm enjoying the weather as well. I'm looking forward to the time change, and nothing at this time, sir.
Councilman Finch.
I had received word this afternoon that one of our older residents, Virgil Teague, who was the president of the Del State Bank back in 1977, he passed this weekend. I just want to send my sympathies out to the family.
Councilman Dean.
And great news that we have, we've started the sidewalk on 44th Street. So they actually got the digging started. And so going to look forward to having sidewalks on the major street there, and look forward to improving the rest of our major streets with sidewalks.
All right, I'm glad you got to announce that. That was good. City manager's report. Already given? Or?
Two items for everyone. I've submitted the reports to each one of you, but a couple of add-ons to that. I just want to give a special shout-out to Miss Ariel Puckett. She was our permit technician in Community Services. She's officially been promoted to Human Resources Assistant. So if you see her, and I believe she's still working in her office right now, if everybody wants to give her a hand, that'd be fantastic.
Very good.
That being said, we do have quite a few openings in the city of Del City. The main ones to bring up, her previous position of permit technician is open. There is a dispatcher position open, 2 code enforcement officer positions open, a part-time animal control officer, and 2 equipment operators. If anyone is interested, please apply on Indeed.
All right. City clerk's report.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay. Move on to item number 6, discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the council, February 21st, 2023. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Finch. Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion is approved. Item number 7, presentation of awards by Gordon Wheeler of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve receiving a presentation by VFW Post 9969 Adjutant Quartermaster Gordon Wheeler to present the VFW Firefighter of the Year Award to Captain Lance Joy and to present Police Officer Alexis Gomez with the VFW Officer of the Year Award. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve receiving a presentation by VFW, the Post 9969, Adjutant Quartermaster Gordon Wheeler to present the VFW Firefighter of the Year Award to Captain Lance Joy, and to present Police Officer Alex Gomez with the VFW Officer of the Year Award.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion is approved. Gordon, would you meet me at the podium?
The VFW Post 9969 here in Del City. With me is our post commander, Gary Grantham. We are again honored to be here to recognize some of Del City's employees who really do an outstanding job for us, some of the finest ones we have. You know, we all think about it, we dial 911 and we know somebody, either a police officer or a fireman, somebody's gonna show up. We just kind of take them for granted, but we like to recognize them for what they do. So with no further ado, if we could get Captain Lance Joy to come forward, please, and the chief with him. You want to join them right over here? Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States Certificate Appreciated awarded to Captain Lance Joy, Firefighter of the Year, in special recognition and highest praise for alertness, personal courage, and ever-efficient guardianship of life and property. In witness wherein we set our hand on this Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, the 6th day of March, 2023. There's a little something in the envelope. You can either take your wife out for dinner or buy donuts for the rest of the crew. Thank you. Thank you. Can we have the Police Officer Gomez come forward, please? And the chief. Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States Certificate of Appreciation awarded to Alex Gomez, Police Officer of the Year, in grateful recognition of unyielding adherence to the highest ideals of law enforcement and maintaining, preserving, and protecting the lawful rights of all citizens. And witness whereof we have set our hand on this 6th day of March 19 and 23, or 20 and 23. Congratulations. Appreciate it. Mayor, see you again next year, same time.
You know, that's one of the great things about this city, the staff and the personnel that work here, just amazing people. Great deal, great deal. Let's move on to item number 8, presentation, receive verification credentials from Oklahoma Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, OLEAP. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve receiving a presentation by Kevin McCullough, Vice Chairman of OLEAP, to present verification credentials to the Dale City Police Department, verifying that it is compliant with the 14 required policies found in 11 OS 34-107A. The OLEAP provides law enforcement agencies in the state with an avenue to demonstrate that they meet commonly accepted minimum standards and best practices for efficient and effective operations. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, we receive a presentation on the accreditation from the OLEAP program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney. Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion is approved. Kevin McCullough, would you come to the podium, please?
Good evening. Thank you all for allowing me to appear. It's good to see you, JD. My name is Kevin McCullough. I chair the Oklahoma Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, and you pretty much read my speech, Mayor. So I'll be short. But I'm proud of the Dale City Police Department and Chief Berger and what they've accomplished really just in a very few months. This program was developed, as you said, Mayor, really to prove to the citizens, your customers, that the police department has prioritized credibility, transparency, and accountability. And this is a step that goes to prove that to your citizens. So this program is actually approved by the Council on Law Enforcement Education and Training, Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, the Oklahoma Municipal League, and was developed again to enhance and prove the professionalism of your law enforcement agency. So, Chief, at this time, it's because of your agency's dedication and commitment to professionalism that I'm honored to present you with this award of verification.
I'd just like to say something real quick. This was not an easy task. We took it on, but it wasn't only me. Everybody here you see in uniform, they are a big part of this. They helped in this. They made this go. I gave them a goal. They obtained it. So this is all in credit to what work they can do, and we'll go further with it.
Very good. All right. I know when Chief Berger, the day he was being sworn in, we sat and talked, and his goal was to make the City of Dale City Police Department, one of the shining examples in the community, and I believe he's well on the way. Thank you, Chief, for that. Move on to item number 9, Dining in Dale City Expose for March 2023. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or deny a presentation from the Economic Development Team on the Dining in Dale City Expose recipient for March 2023, Ted's Cafe Escondido, located at 5301 Main Street, Suite 117. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion is approved. Let's see. Kelly, are you doing the presentation? Sean, okay.
March 2023, Dining in Dale City Expose is Ted's Cafe. Ted started in 1991. They were in a renovated house on 68th Street, and their mission is Better Mexican. And they made everything from scratch. It's mentally from them bringing everything from Mexican food to Oklahoma City. And they had nothing about their ingredients or their formulas or anything that they put in their food has changed, except for they said they went from pagers to cell phones and new technology and social media. The good thing is that everything else is good enough, so they keep it the same. Their mission is Better Mexican. You can visit them at 5301 Main Street, Unit 117 in Dale City, Oklahoma. And we have Ms. Rosa.
Hi, my name is Rosemary Palmer. I'm the general manager down there, and we want to say thank you so much for having us here today, and we love being in Dale City and serving the guests. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
And here's the cake.
Oh, twisted.
I was singing that song on the way to the council meeting tonight. That was what I was listening to. Yeah. Ted's, thank you for being in Dale City. We love your food and probably eat there a lot more than we should, but great place. We love it. Thank you. All right. Let's move on to item number 10, nominations and appointments to the Park and Beautification Commission. We have 5 nominations here, and I'm not sure, is everybody here? Oh, thank you. Vice Mayor keeps me straight. This is a certificate saying that we appreciate them, and they are dining restaurant of the month. We've got them.
So everyone that is here can please enjoy some of these samples that are over here, because there's a bunch of them.
And then tell everybody that sometimes when you go to a council meeting, you get a treat, a snack. Okay. Move on to item number 10, nominations and appointments to the Park and Beautification Commission. We have 5 nominations. I'm going to read them one at a time, but we're going to do the swearing in. Everybody that's here, we'll do them all together in one group. But I'll read them individually. A is Stacy Freitas. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve appointment of mayor's nomination Stacy Freitas for Park and Beautification Commission position. Said term not to exceed March 6th, 2024. B is Helen Watson. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the appointment of mayor's nomination of Helen Watson for Park and Beautification Commission position. Said term not to exceed March 6, 2024. C is Floyd Brown. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the appointment of mayor's nomination Floyd Brown for Park and Beautification Commission position. Said term not to exceed March 6, 2025. You have to work a little longer. D is Cynthia Harwell. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the appointment of mayor's nomination of Cynthia Harwell for Park and Beautification Commission position. Said term not to exceed March 6th, 2025. Last is Francisco Arredondo. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve appointment of mayor's nomination of Francisco Arredondo for Park and Beautification Commission position. Said term not to exceed March 6th, 2025. I will hear a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the appointment of Stacy Freitas, Helen Watson, Floyd Brown, Cynthia Harwell, and Francisco Arredondo to the Park and Beautification Commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. Motion is approved. Will these 5 people meet me at the podium? Now we've got some paperwork. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Helen. Bumped into you. We're going to do the loyalty oath first. Francisco, you can read off of that one. And then Helen, if you'll read off of that one. I've never done this many swearing-ins at one time. This may be a little confusing. But Ron's in the audience, he'll keep it straight on this. That's Floyd Brown. Okay. And Cynthia Harwell. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to read this, and when it comes to your name, state your name. Otherwise, repeat after me and raise your right hand, please. All right. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Oklahoma, and that I will faithfully discharge, according to the best of my ability, the duties of my office during such time as I am a member of the Dell City Park and Beautification Commission. We made it through the first part. All right. Now's when it's going to get confusing. We're going to do the oath of office. Just hold on to that one. This is Cynthia Harwell. let's see. I just have 20 papers to sort through here. Bear with me just a second. We're going to get them all mixed up. Floyd Brown. Oath of office. Stacy's not here. Helen, there's your copy. Okay, everybody has a copy. Again, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma, and that I will not knowingly receive, directly or indirectly, any money or other valuable thing for the performance or non-performance of any act or duty pertaining to my office, other than the compensation allowed by law. I further swear that I will faithfully discharge my duties as a member of the Dell City Park and Beautification Commission to the best of my ability. Congratulations. We're going to need some pens. Oh, there's some pens. Turn around and grab some of those, and let's start signing. You bet. Oh, sorry. Let's see. I just have 20 pages to sign. You see where you're going with that? There's a Floyd Brown. There's a Floyd Brown. Let me see your copy of the oath of office or the loyalty. I have to sign the white ones too. There's that one. And you'll give a signed copy to the city clerk. Here you go, Floyd. Pass that over to him. And let me see here. I'm going to sign these for you. Let's see, I've got another one here. That's Francisco. This is Francisco. There's another one for you. Cynthia Harwell. There you are, ma'am. Give those to the city clerk and she'll notarize them. Stacy, Helen, there's one for you. I got to brag on Floyd Brown here. One hot afternoon, was that last year you were out there painting rails? A couple of years ago. He was out there by himself painting the pipes by a creek, sitting out there in the sun, cars honking as they went by. He's out there by himself painting pipes. Did a great job. They were checking on my sanity. Were they? Did they find any? Did you get 4 pages there? There's, oh, I missed one, sorry. Finally get to put you to work. Good, good deal. Let's see what we got left here. That's Stacy. Okay. This is a non-paid position in the city of Dale City. And of course, everything always goes perfectly well. It's perfectly organized. There's never a hiccup. It all just goes like it's supposed to be, right? Anybody? No. These guys do a tremendous job, and they're out there beautifying the city and working for us. Let's give them a round of applause. And just because your term ends in a year or two, that doesn't mean you have to quit. How long has Helen been involved in the city? A long time. Anybody guess? You replaced Fred Flintstone on the committee when he resigned, right? Okay, all right, I'm kidding. All right, let's move on to item number 11. Special recognition, Chief of Police Lloyd Berger, Captain Sean Courtney, Detective Nathan Stortz, and Officer Chris Griggs. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve receiving a presentation by Mayor Eason to express appreciation from the family of Dale City Police Department Captain retired Larry L. Osmond to the Chief of Police Lloyd Berger, Captain Sean Courtney, Detective Nathan Stortz, and Officer Chris Griggs for the comfort they gave to the family at the services of Captain Osmond. City of Dale City also extends a thanks to these dedicated law enforcement officers for the comfort that they brought to the Osmond family, and lets it be known that the city supports and appreciates Dale City Police Department. Would you gentlemen meet me at the podium? Oh, yeah, we got to vote on it. Sorry about that. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we receive a presentation by the mayor to express appreciation to our finest.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Dean. Aye. Councilman Mooney. Mayor votes aye. The motion carries. Thank you for keeping me straight there. Would you guys meet me at the podium, please? These are guys that have gone over and above in showing respect and support to a former officer. And, you know, when we first heard about this, the first thing we thought of was, let's get them all new police cars. And then we looked at the budget and said, you know, we can't do that. Well, maybe we could just chrome plate your police car. You know, make all chrome, everybody likes chrome, right? And no, we couldn't do that. But we got him. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for taking care of Chief, how long you been chief? You're doing fine. Appreciate you. Okay, now we get to hear from the police chief. This is the monthly update from the chief of police. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve receiving a monthly update from the chief of police. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we approve receiving a presentation by the police chief.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion is approved. Chief, step up to the podium. You're having quite a night tonight, the police department.
Busy night.
Good job.
All right. I want to say I'm very proud of the officers, men and women of this department. Going back to where we just got our verification credentials, that's a big step. Very proud of that. These men and women behind you in uniform have put a lot of time into that. The union stepped up and actually worked with us on that. We went back and forth. We didn't always agree, but we come to a good resolution. We have now a policy in place of just short of about 200 policies. Am I right? 214 policies in place. Working on procedures now. Our next step will be going in to getting the certification level. Usually they say it takes about a year and a half, so I'm pushing for maybe about this time next year we'll be there. So.
Very good.
During the last month, you may have seen it on social media, we, along with the fire department, took part in Active Threat Integrated Response. This was put on by Oklahoma Department of Homeland Security and LSU. They came together and they go this across the nation. This was the first time that this has been done in the metro area, and we had 12 different agencies that came into Del City here, from fire, police, EMS, everybody. And what this done was we put a lot of our senior officers and supervisors in it. And this takes it to say if we had an active threat, an active shooter, something like that at a business or a school, the initial part of it is over very quick, taking care of the threat, but then that's where the chaos and the commotion comes in afterwards. And you'll get so many agencies and everybody's coming in, you have to be able to coordinate that. That's what this school was all about. It was 3 days. They came in, they took our supervisors, they showed them how to do this, how to coordinate this, how to separate it into different incidents and take charge of it. This was a phenomenal program, and I look to hopefully do this again very soon. The Oklahoma Department of Homeland Security and LSU both gave us a lot of props for it. They had a great place over there to train. We fed them. We took care of them, so this was a really good deal. We have all 10 of the F-150 responders in. They're on the ground. I started with the graphics on the first one this morning. We got about halfway through that, had to stop, rearrange some things. Should have the next first one done here this week. And then I'm waiting for them to go to be outfitted with all the lights and sirens and everything like that. So we're still a little ways out, but hopefully by next month I can bring one to the council and we'll show you what we have.
All right.
Radar speed signs, I thought this was going to be a good update for you, but on my way here I noticed the south one is not working. So they had taken them down several weeks, sent them back, getting some repairs, and I thought everything was good, and I sent them some good props. They were all working, and then on the way here tonight I noticed the south one was going on and off, so I'll take care of that. My last officer just started today as I hired an Andrew Bentley. He comes to us from Department of Corrections. He was a lieutenant there, certified officer. So he started this morning, got him sworn in. He'll be getting out there in the FTO program and getting going for long, but that makes me full staff, 41 officers.
Very good.
Coming up, March 25th, we are partnering with the Del City Rotary for a bike safety rodeo at Epperly Heights. We're looking forward to that. We'll have some men and women out there working with the Rotary and teaching some bike safety to some young ones. So, March 25th at Epperly Heights. That's all I have for you right now.
All right.
Chief,
Yes.
You said you've only been on the job for 1 month, but really, how long have you been on the job?
Total here in Del City, I'm starting my 25th year the first of this year, yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Love this city, so just trying to do everything I can for it.
Very good. Thank you, Chief. Move on to item number 13, police body-worn cameras, Avon Enterprises, Axon Enterprises Incorporated. We'll take item A first. Presentation by police staff. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or deny a presentation by police staff regarding implementation of police body-worn cameras in the police department. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a presentation by police staff regarding implementation of body-worn cameras in the police department.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney. Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion is approved. Lloyd, who's doing this? Are you doing this?
I'm going to start it off, yes.
All right.
I just want to say a few words about this. Major Cowden here has kind of been my lead on these next two projects, for this one and the next one. He has taken the initiative and jumped out there and got all the information we can to give you a short presentation. The body-worn camera program, I think, is long overdue here. I'm embarrassed to say it, but we're the only agency in Oklahoma County that does not have body-worn cameras. We could have done better before. So it's time to do right and get it out there. So Major Cowden's going to give you a short presentation on. If you have any questions there, he'll answer for you.
Good evening. So I will just kind of echo what the chief said. This is long overdue. We're very excited about possibly bringing this program to the department and add a new level of transparency for our officers and for the citizens. So for those of you that are not familiar with body cameras and kind of how they work, I just want to go over a very brief overview of kind of what we're proposing to purchase. So the camera that we are looking at is the Axon Body 3. Axon is the company that has made Taser for 20 some odd years. That's their kind of their parent company. And so they manufacture these, they manufacture car cameras. And we really feel like this is a platform that we can build off of and grow into. It's not something we're purchasing antiquated technology. So just kind of what they look like on the uniform. They're not super big, they're not super heavy. They have a 12-hour battery life. Some of the features that we really enjoyed about these particular cameras, they have a multi-mic function. So oftentimes if officers are involved in a physical altercation, the sound gets muffled. This one allows for various different angles of sound to continue to be picked up. It has artificial intelligence technology that allows it to detect gunshot, to automatically start recording, and other words that may be said, such as gun or something like that, where it'll automatically start recording. And then from a transparency and operational standpoint, it has a pre-buffer setting of 2 minutes. And what that means is that if an officer forgets or doesn't hit his button to start his camera, there is 2 minutes of saved video that we can recover that was not originally captured. It just does not have the audio. It only records just the video. So what you're getting with this package, it's a 5-year, essentially, over a course of 5 years. Every 2.5 years, Axon will replace all of our cameras, all of our docks. They recognize that the batteries in these start to deteriorate and you don't get a full charge out of them after about 2.5 years. So in this proposal, we would have an initial set of cameras in April. We would have another set in October of 2025, and then a final set in April of 2027 when it's time to either look at extending with this company or potentially going with another. And then the last thing that I wanted to cover with you guys just briefly is the Axon Evidence Platform. This is the main reason that we want to go with this system. This allows us to grow for the future. If we decide that we want cameras in our vehicles, we just add it to it. Everything is cloud-based. It's end-to-end encrypted with the same government servers that are used by the FBI and the CIA, and so all of our storage is completely secure. And we can put in interview room cameras. We can get drones. They have the sky's the limit on the technology that this company offers. Some of it, obviously, we don't need, but nonetheless, it gives us the ability to grow into this platform. So we looked at 4 different body cameras the main four players, which are WatchGuard, Motorola. WatchGuard is actually owned by Motorola now, just two different names. Axon, which is the one we're proposing, and then 365 Labs. Some of the main differences, obviously, the first is cost. So where you may save money in a particular body camera, you may lose that money in storage and data. So we really looked at all of our different options, and we feel like this is the best option for both the department and the city in terms of technology and budget. So with that, do I have any questions about the product at all?
Is there like a limit on the cloud storage? And if it goes over a limit, is there an extra fee?
So this is covered unlimited storage. The proposal is for 40 body-worn cameras, and all of those have their own accounts for unlimited storage.
Very good.
Do they come with a backup battery, or is it just one battery per camera?
So the batteries are internal, but they last for 12 hours average, and they also can be charged in the car in the event for some reason an officer has a longer shift. They can actually charge it from in the car in between calls.
Oh, very good.
Will this require any infrastructure upgrade to servers or anything in-house to get all of this uploaded?
This is all cloud-based, so it's very turnkey. There is going to be some installation of the docks that'll go into our building for docking and uploading, but other than that, everything should be pretty turnkey for us. Yes, so that is another selling point as well. I'm glad you brought that up. In evidence.com, one of the things that a lot of municipalities have struggled with is in their implementation of body-worn cameras, they end up having to hire additional manpower just to sort through all of the Open Records Act requests for videos, whether it's from media, prosecutors, defense attorneys. This system allows us to send all of these securely and electronically without even burning a disk or putting them on a USB file. It's intended to save a lot of time. This also includes auditing software to be able to audit officers' performance. It also includes redaction software, which allows us to be able to automatically redact certain situations where the law says that we have to basically maintain the privacy in that situation.
Sounds good.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Move on to item B, council action. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or deny entering into an agreement with Axon Enterprise Incorporated to provide 40 body-worn cameras for the police department under state contract number SW1057T for an initial cost of $26,389.69 for the first year of April 2023 through April 2024, and a continual annual cost of $59,376.96 beginning April 2024, and said contract is anticipated for 5 years, subject to yearly renewal with council approval. Authorize mayor to endorse same, subject to final legal approval. The contract includes all license, unlimited evidence, cloud-based storage, and redaction capability. Axon is a sole source provider that can provide this complete package. The first year cost is a reduced incentive rate to get the program started. Cameras and equipment are to be replaced at 2.5-year intervals with no increase in the annual amount. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we approve entering into an agreement with Axon Enterprise. For the first year, that cost would be $26,389.69. That would be from April of 2023 through April of 2024, and then a continual annual cost of $59,376.96 beginning April of 2024. Said contract is anticipated for 5 years, subject to yearly renewal with council approval. Authorize mayor to endorse same.
Very good.
Second.
So, okay, I'm going to amend my motion to include after the authorized mayor to endorse same, subject to legal approval.
I'll amend my second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I, for one, am just thrilled to see this come to Dell City. I mean, it's long overdue, and it's just going to add just another dimension of protection and security and witness to law enforcement actions. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to move into the 21st century. Any other discussion? Let's take the vote. Councilman Gandy?
Aye.
Councilman Mooney?
Aye.
Councilman Finch?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion carries. Congratulations, guys. You're going to be on TV. All right. Move on to item number 14, safety cameras within the city. Flock Group Incorporated, Flock Safety. Again, we'll do item A first. Presentation by police staff. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or deny a presentation by police staff regarding what flock safety is and the benefits it can offer the city and the police department. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Dean. Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion carries. Chief, you're up again.
I'll give you just a brief here, and then I'm going to turn it over to Major Cowden again. Flock safety, I believe, is going to be a game changer for this city. I learned about it, want to do more. I spoke with several people about it. I think this is a game changer. This is going to help us so much in the city as far as getting leads and solving crimes and reducing our crime rate. So, Major Cotton?
Hello again. So I have a little bit longer of a presentation for the flock cameras, and I apologize in advance for that, but I want to make sure that everybody understands kind of what it is. It is technology that is newer to this area, but in keeping with the terms of adopting 21st century technology for 21st century problems that we encounter in policing. So the first thing, obviously, is why are we wanting to go with flock safety? There are several reasons for that. The main one is that we are being asked to do, not us specifically, but as law enforcement, we are being asked to do more with less, consistently across the industry. Crime, nationally, at the state level and at the local level, we've seen increases in certain levels of crime. And being able to use these cameras as a force multiplier for our officers, in my opinion, is probably it may be the biggest investment that we've made in this police department. Since the body cameras, probably, obviously, that was kind of short.
5 minutes ago.
So a couple of things that I have on here. There are limited police resources when it comes to certain things. Stolen vehicles is something of emphasis that we put into this program. But there are a couple of things that I want to share with you guys about this technology just to ensure and kind of give some peace of mind about what it is and what it is not. So this is what the camera looks like. It's about this big. It mounts either on a typical street pole or on a utility pole, depending on whether we have permission to put it there. And it also factors in whether it has enough solar power and cellular service. So we position these in certain parts of the city, and it collects license plate information only. Now, what you may be familiar with is automatic license plate readers you may have seen mounted on vehicles, on police vehicles, or repo lots that run them. This is completely different technology, and the reason behind that is the storage of that data. This data is only accessible by law enforcement, and there has to be a specific purpose for the query into the system. So we have to be able to justify why we're wanting this information, whereas on these other systems, that's not necessarily the case. In addition to that, there is a shorter data storage time of 30 days, whereas on some of the other systems, it could be, there is no limit. It's all on how much storage you have to be able to hold on to it. So the other thing that makes this different, though, is that these cameras actually use artificial intelligence to determine the make, model, and color of the vehicle off the camera. So whenever we have an incident where all we have is a white four-door vehicle, we can put white four-door vehicle into this system, and it'll tell us all of the white four-door vehicles that came through a specific area at a specific time. That's the game changer that Chief is referring to when it talks about dealing with crimes. Most violent crimes that we respond to, the suspect has already left the scene. This gives us an opportunity within a very short amount of time to locate and potentially apprehend the suspect, sometimes within an hour. So I'll show you a couple of case studies about that. But to reiterate, there is no personal identifying information that is collected by these cameras. We get a tag number, we get a make, and we get a color. It's important to differentiate between the systems that we use as police departments. We have our OLETS database, which has access to the tax commissions and the states for the purpose of running driver's licenses, tag numbers where we can see registered owners and things like that. And then we have NCIC, which is for stolen vehicles, amber alerts, silver alerts, missing, endangered. It is connected to NCIC. It is not connected to the database. So when it runs a tag number, it does not know who the registered owner is, nor can it track that information. One of the biggest concerns that we see with this type of technology is, okay, are they going to track where I'm going? Are they going to track where I've been? And that's this technology was meant to fill that void and alleviate that concern. One of the things that we are trying to do as a police department as a whole, and I know that Chief Burgle will echo this sentiment, is we are trying to be more proactive and less reactive. From responding to calls for service, we're trying to go out and be more aggressive with the criminals and keep them from and deter them from coming back into our city. And this is another method in which to do that. We talked about the investigative side of this already, and I believe that just from my limited access to this system I've had for about a week and a half now, the sky's the limit for what we can do with it. I really believe that. So here's the implementation plan that we have kind of put together. Obviously, the software, we have been given access to the software already. So we have access to Oklahoma City's cameras. They have 65 cameras in their city, 3 of which are on the southern border of Del City. So we have access to those cameras and have already used them for a couple of instances where we've needed them. We are hoping for contract approval today, maybe. But we anticipate camera installation sometime between April and July. It kind of all depends on permitting and how quick they can get them, and we have to get approval from OG&E as far as putting them on their poles and things like that. We hope to be fully implemented, though, with this program by August, and then the last part in September will be the private business recruitment, and this is probably one of the coolest parts about this program. Private businesses can purchase these cameras. This company actually started as a homeowners association group where they did it for homeowners associations. So we will be reaching out to businesses to see if it's something they would want to put on their property. If they do, we get access to those cameras. Every time another city buys cameras, we get access to them. Midwest City is purchasing them as well. They're going to be entering into a contract, and we'll have access to those. As of today, we have access to cameras in 12 different states. We have all of the Houston metro area, Dallas-Fort Worth, Arizona, Indiana, Kansas, Ohio, and there's more coming in every day. We can adjust our access to those based on who has roles in the system and so on and so forth, but it is intended to be a nationwide system. This is an example of what an implementation plan would look like for our city. The idea is not to place these necessarily in neighborhoods, and the reason for that is because we do not want to intentionally or unintentionally place them in neighborhoods where people feel like they're being targeted because of where they live, okay? This is intended to be in areas that are entrances to the city, to identify one of the most common ones is stolen vehicles. Statistically, if you are in a stolen vehicle, you're likely going to commit another crime. So if they're coming into our city in a stolen vehicle, we can intercept them before they even do anything. So what would happen is let's say a stolen vehicle is coming northbound on Sunny Lane and they approach 44th Street, they hit the camera. Within 10 to 15 seconds, all officers in the department are going to get an alert saying that this vehicle with this tag number just came through and it's stolen. Officers can intercept it and arrest the person before they have a chance to do anything else. And that is the idea and the way we're trying to intervene in some of the crime that we see coming from our neighbors. So, and I kind of covered this already, so I'll keep this very brief, but Flock is really big on transparency when it comes to the data that they collect and the data that they do not collect. They offer a transparency portal that we can put on our website that tells them what cities we have access to, how many cars we have scanned, how many cases we have open related to those scans, and it's just meant to be a public transparency portal for people to understand what we are actually doing with the technology. And that's kind of an example of what that looks like. That is Vallejo, California's transparency portal. So just a couple real quick case studies for you. Tulsa is one of the big champions of flock safety here in Oklahoma. Within 2 months, as you can see there, they recovered 28 stolen vehicles, 6 stolen guns, recovered over $400,000 in stolen property. This was in their phase 1 implementation in 2 months. It's unbelievable. Locust Grove, a relatively smaller city, they were the first city in Oklahoma to adopt the equipment, and they had 10 stolen vehicles during their first initial phase of implementation. This was in California, but this is a really good example of how this technology works. These people came into a jewelry store to commit a robbery. They were fended off and left the area before officers arrived. Officers were able to get a vehicle description, put that into the Flock database, located the vehicle leaving the area with a tag number, put that tag number into a hot list, which alerts officers of those vehicles. Later that day, they came back into the area and were apprehended on their way to commit a second robbery. And so kind of is the nature of it. And then this is the most important one. Some of these officers that are standing right here behind me even responded to this call of a drive-by shooting at Oak Ridge Apartments back on the 27th, so just a few days ago. When they got there, they found that somebody had discharged several rounds in the area, and the manager provided a surveillance video of this. So we looked at it. Okay, it's a black Jeep SUV. While officers were responding to the scene, I put this information into Flock. 12 minutes from the original call, I had that picture. And that's them coming down Bryant. With this information off of Oklahoma City's camera and with Oklahoma City's cooperation, they apprehended the suspect later that night. That not only is cooperative policing, but it's policing smarter with better technology. So that being said, and this is just an Amber Alert example, 6 hours, they had an Amber Alert from the time that a child was abducted to the time that they were found, all because of a Flock camera. So just several examples and kind of how it works. I hope it gives you a better understanding of how the technology works, but if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any for you. Yes, Flock cameras are not used for traffic enforcement of any kind. They don't measure speed. They are not for uninsured motorist enforcement. They are strictly a criminal investigation tool.
You had mentioned not putting these cameras in specific neighborhoods, but is this something that, say, a neighborhood watch association might want to purchase one of these cameras or two of these cameras at a given time? Is that something that is possible?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think there's a difference, obviously, when you're having your neighborhood watch collectively that decide to make that decision versus a city doing that. Obviously, we will place them in areas that we feel are most susceptible to crime, but, we want to also make sure that we're covering the entrances to our cities as best we can.
You have a question in the back.
So the cost for a camera is $3,000 a year. That covers all data, everything, installation, the whole deal. If you get it before the end of March, they're $2,500. So, but any business can purchase them, and they can. So if let's say a private business does purchase them, they will have access to their own camera's feed, but nobody else's. But we will have access to everybody's.
Got another one?
Yes, sir. So we have actually, and that is part of our plan, of course, is to communicate with some of these schools to see if the school district would be willing to invest in this technology as well. Obviously, we have so many schools, we would probably have to purchase another 10, 12 cameras just to cover that area. But absolutely, and so that's something that we're looking at in this initial purchase that we're proposing for 10 cameras. We don't want this to just be 10. We hope that it is as beneficial as we think that it's going to be and can make those continual investments into it in the future.
Spoke with Springhill Suites over here off the Center Road. I was over there last Friday, and the Air Force and the military send a lot of people into those hotels. And of course, there was a rash of auto burglaries here a few weeks back, and that was the colonel's concern over there. So I went over there and spoke with him, and I also spoke with management at the hotel and kind of just briefly explained this program to them. And they were all excited about this program because those hotels could go in and buy these cameras, and we'd have access to it and provide some security for the people coming in. And we'd have something. A lot of times if they're in there, nobody wants their car broken into. But that's a prime target for anywhere in the United States when you go to a hotel and people have their cars there. So this just adds an extra layer to it. And they were very receptive to the program, and I look forward to talking to more on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Are the neighborhood watch groups considered a business where they could buy one for maybe $3,000?
Yes, we covered that with Flock. They said that that would be permitted to do if they chose to do that.
How quick is the information? Once the video is clipped on the vehicle, how quick can you get the information?
Within seconds. The video that I was pulling from this incident that I showed you here in Del City, probably within 15 seconds, 20 seconds, if that. It's all cellular based, so all of it depends on connectivity. If there's a connectivity issue, it may be a little bit of a lag, but from all the searches that I've done so far, maybe 20 seconds tops.
So the lady behind you.
So, no, that is something that's a little bit unique about this as well. One of the questions that came up was, okay, so if I say, hey, I want to know where my ex-wife drove, I want to do Open Records Act for this. Because this information is only accessed as a result of a criminal investigation, an ongoing criminal investigation, it would not be subject to those requests, no different than anything else that we would provide at that particular time. So, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about just the locations of where the cameras are at. Yeah, no, we don't have any issues with that. And as a matter of fact, that's something that a lot of agencies post, because it just as much of it is as a force multiplier for us, it's also a deterrent as well for the people know that they exist. Yeah.
Will information from these cameras be subject to be sent to court?
Well, yeah, absolutely, they can be. So if an officer is investigating a some sort of criminal act, they would save that information. It would become part of the evidence file. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Seems like the more cameras you have, the more deterrent you have.
Mhm.
Do they ever use like fake cameras? Like you have some that are active.
Right.
Others
And
Floyd, that's need to know.
yeah, they'd probably be cheaper, for sure.
because like say a criminal he gets caught, he kills his buddies, and they don't go down Sunny Lane.
Right.
Go down Bryant.
Right.
So if they know where it is, they might try to avoid that.
Sure. Well, and that's kind of the goal of covering all of our major entrances to the city, is to prevent a lot of those issues from happening. Because if we have our partners with our neighboring cities, Midwest City and Oklahoma City specifically, and they're also putting in cameras, that's a lot of cameras to have to know the location of if you're going to go commit a crime. Most people, they would much rather just go somewhere else than put the effort into trying to avoid detection. So at least that's the idea that we're trying to employ with it.
They're not a permanent mount. They can be moved if we find that this location's not working out for us and we want it over here. They can be moved.
Yeah, and I should have pointed that out. They're not tied to infrastructure whatsoever. They're completely solar powered. They run off of cellular service, solar power. They strap on. We can take them off and move them somewhere else, wherever we want them to go.
Just a question about cost. Do they replace your cameras, and what did they say the lifespan of the camera was?
So there is, we talked about warranty with them. If it's a defect, they cover that. If it's damage, it depends on the incident. As far as replacement, they didn't talk about a lifespan per se. I would assume that would be covered under warranty though.
So you purchased the 10, and then you're paying yearly after that, and the yearly fee is $27,000?
So the year, after April 1st, it goes up to $3,000 per camera, and that again includes everything. It's actually more of a lease type thing. So it's their product. Yeah, and that kind of goes back to, I think it touches better on what you're saying is that if one of them goes out and it's not because of a malicious type of issue, then they're going to replace that because we're leasing it from them for that.
Okay.
So I have a quick question. So if they get blown out because of a storm, do they have some sort of replacement issue?
Right, yeah.
Or
So,
hail, yeah.
and that's one thing that we talked to them about. They told us that a lot of the agencies so far have not had issues with weather-related things. Most of it's been if there's a vandalism issue or something like that. And he has told us that while there may be a replacement cost for repeated instances, that, obviously if one happens or something like that, they've never had an issue replacing them before.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to item B. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or deny entering into an agreement with Flock Group Incorporated to install cameras at designated points within the city limits for the amount of $31,000 for the first year of the contract to begin July 1, 2023, with a one-year renewal beginning July 1, 2024, for the amount of $27,500, subject to council approval. Authorize mayor to endorse same, subject to final legal approval. The police department will have a 60-day trial period at no cost. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we approve entering into an agreement with Flock for the amount of $31,000 for the first year, beginning July 1st, 2023, with a one-year renewal beginning July 1st, 2024, and then for the amount of $27,500, subject to council approval. Authorize mayor to endorse same, subject to final legal approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion carries. All right. Good job, guys.
I just want
Yeah.
to say thank you to the council members for the support for the police department. This is going to be great, and to the citizens, I appreciate you being here and the questions you asked. That's great. I'm really looking forward to this program, and I think it's going to do wonders for us.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Okay, let's move on to item number 15, discussion only, hiring a city manager. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve holding a discussion regarding qualifications and expectations for hiring a city manager. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we approve holding a discussion regarding the qualifications and expectations of hiring a city manager.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. We've got an acting city manager at this time, but we're looking to discuss the way that we move forward in looking for and qualifying a person to come in as a city manager here in Dell City. The first qualification on top of the list is they have to live in Dell City. And that's something that is required by our city charter. But we have other criteria that we'd like to share with you guys and would like to talk about. Our attorney says we need to keep the hiring process public, and it's kind of like, I liken it to a bid, like we're building a sidewalk or a building or anything else. We have to publish the details of what we're looking for and what our expectations are. The first thing that I think we ought to be looking for in the person is either a proven track record or education in civic administration. I'd like to see us hire somebody that as a career, their planned career is city administration, and either a college degree or previous experience, have a track record where maybe they've worked in a smaller city or a different city in a different location, and we'd like for them to have some experience behind them. In other words, we don't want to raise them and train them. No offense, JD, we've raised you a little bit, but you're doing a great job, by the way. That's one of the criteria that I'd like to see. Would anybody like to comment on that? I'm looking for a professional city manager, someone that has a professional attitude to managing our city.
I think that they need to know some history of our city. I do think that they need to live here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that a situation that HR would kind of work through?
The experience? Well, if we make that a criteria, they will. Right now, we don't have a criteria for selection, and that's the purpose of this discussion, is to kind of establish a base plan of how we're going to move forward What are we going to look for? I would like to look for somebody that either has an education in civic administration or has had previous experience in administration. We can talk about characteristics and items like that, but first, I think the education and experience is an important criteria. We want a professional manager in place to run our city. It needs to be someone that knows how to work a budget, knows how to put a budget together, knows how to plan and project out on the future of the city. Well, the things we would like to see. How would you like the city to grow? And that, it either takes experience or education, or maybe you could lump those two together, both. That's one of the criteria I'd like to see.
So I think, we could call that the budgetary experience. And then we definitely would like to have, I think that we'd like to have economic development and experience with the economic development side to bring people in. But going back to the actual job of the city manager is you just really need to have fantastic managerial skills to go and work with the police chief, work with your different chiefs and
Sure.
so forth. So
Someone that's able to cooperate with different types of groups and people, someone that has the personality to bring a team together. So there's a qualification.
Like the team we have now, right? I think we have a great team here.
So,
and I think that that's one thing just to bring up is this, the reason why we're doing this is that we want to go and make sure that we have the strongest, best candidate for this time on.
Absolutely.
We were somewhat taken aback by our former city manager, Mr. Cantrell, leaving, so we had to get a current city manager now, and fortunately JD, Mr. Houck has stood up and taken it.
Mhm.
But before we finish this job, it's our job to go and make sure that we go and explore all avenues. And
Sure.
so that's all we're doing. And so fortunately, we're in very good hands right now, and I definitely feel that way.
Right.
But we definitely want to explore all the options.
Yeah, we're not in a crisis by any means, but while we're able to set and put the policies together, we need to know, what are we looking for? What type of person are we looking for? What kind of skills should they possess? That's the kind of things that we need to implement. That's the things that we need to discuss. Kyle, what would you like to see in a city manager?
An understanding of grants. I think we have all recognized the importance of grants in
Absolutely.
the city of Del City. So I would say knowledge of grants and grant writing would be really important.
That's an excellent observation, in that in our previous administrations, we've not had a very successful grant writing program, and we've left a lot of money on the table. There's no reason to leave that money on the table, but it would take someone that understands and is aggressive in grant writing. I agree with you. Jackie?
Another thought would be is to actually be able to work with our neighbors, Midwest City, Oklahoma City, and into being interoperative with the different organizations. So being able to get out with your city manager groups and go and work with those types of organizations to go and help our city out.
Mm-hmm.
And to expand on that, I would say relationships in local government.
Both with people, the citizens,
Both with
and
people.
with the elected officials.
Yes.
Yeah, the relationships.
Yep.
That's important.
Connectivity. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. We need someone that's a competent reporter that is able to report facts and status of the city and what's the condition of the roads, and we need someone that's competent to report back to both the elected officials and the citizens the state of the city and what we need to do, and able to plan. We need someone that can plan and has experience planning cities. So
And I was just thinking of planning, because I keep asking, do we come up with all these different things that, would be great for our city to do, and we hope that they're done, but to have a person to be able to keep track of all those.
That can
and
implement.
To implement, the different requests.
yeah, sure.
So
What ab-
project management experience. Yeah.
What about the importance of staffing our city? The city manager is responsible for the hiring of the employees of the city. He is ultimately the the end of the line. The buck stops here. When you make a bad hire or when you make a good hire, it's the city manager that actually implements that. So that's a condition that we need to look at. Someone that's able to work with the HR department to investigate the backgrounds of people that are coming in. I mean, I'm going to pick on you, Lloyd, because you're just standing there and you look easy. If we hadn't known the background of this man, how could we hire him as chief with no foreknowledge of what he's capable of doing and what he's done in the past? So you have to have somebody that's competent and able to staff.
And how about risk management?
Absolutely, risk management.
Trying to figure out when to take the risk and when not to take the risk.
That's right. That's right. Supervision. What about supervision of the workforce? All the employees in the city report to the city manager. And that's something that's critical. A person that's able to supervise fairly, impartially. We don't want to see a big, what do they call it? Buddy system?
Good old boy system.
Good old boy system. Thank you. We don't want to see that here. We want a fair and equitable system that people are promoted on merit. And that's something that's important. And these are all issues that we need to be looking for as a city manager. Fiscal management, managing the funds.
I would like to suggest someone with good people skills that could manage people of all levels of employment in the Dell City system.
Absolutely.
Also, being able to prioritize things, and maybe, also I'd like the idea, like we got tonight, where everything stood, like prioritizing and reporting back. That's very helpful for the city council.
Our acting city manager gave us a written report tonight. That's just amazing. Did you guys like that? JD, man, you knocked it out of the park with that. I love this report. He gave us this report, and it talks about requests, both from citizens in Dell City and from council members, requests that have been made to the management of the city. And he extends it out using multicolored ink. Tells what the result is and what the status is of each project. I love that. I love being able to just pick up a sheet and have all the details right there at hand. I think
That'll slow down a lot of phone calls to the city manager, because that's what I did a lot of. Call to say, where's such and so on?
I'm tickled to see also on this manager's report, he's given us a development, Road Ranger, the truck stop that's coming in at Scott Street. He's talking about what's going on there, dates and how it's developing. All these other things that are involved that's going on, you have it all right there on one page. JD, that's excellent. You did great with that. But that's the kind of things that I think we need to be looking for. We need to be looking for a person with these qualifications. And the reason we're talking about this in public right now is if anybody in the city has suggestions, if you have something that you would like us to be looking for as we look for the next city manager, JD, you're acting city manager. We want to hire a full-time. Yes, sir. Would you step up to the podium and identify yourself, please? You raised your hand.
I'm listening to this and I'm going, is this JD? I'm sorry.
This is JD right here.
What's wrong with him? You got a marvelous report.
I've got a
You're
list.
all singing his praises, right?
I've got a list.
We're
You
all
ask what's
singing
wrong
it.
with him. No.
I say you just, listen, loyalty comes from hiring from within, not from without.
Uh-huh.
You got your man. Right there. Just
Perfectly said.
give him his moment to shine. He looks like he's doing great.
We're not arguing with you. and he's going to have 6 months. We've already told him he's going to be acting city manager for 6 months. And at the end of that time, we're going to do an evaluation of him. He can do an evaluation of us, see if it fits, see if he likes what he's doing. He's coming from another office here at City Hall, and he's doing an amazing job on writing grants. And if he doesn't like being the city manager, we don't want an unhappy city manager. So there's kind of a probationary period. But we're not locked in. It's not written in concrete.
Sounds like a tough position to fill.
Oh, it's crazy. It's a crazy position.
I mean, and he's got a foothold in there. I hope you stay. It sounds like
We hope
the
he
way you
makes it.
sang his praises on that report. I was like, I think they found their guy. I just don't know.
He's doing a stellar job. The guy is doing amazing. And you know, everybody's good on the first month or two, you know?
Whoa.
No offense,
But,
JD.
but he's failing to tell you that JD brought in a $2 million grant within his first year of working here.
Yeah.
So that is amazing right there.
And that's what got him to this position. So we are recognizing the fact that we have an outstanding young man here, but we're not limiting ourselves to just him. If he feels a little heat and a little competition, maybe he'll work a little harder.
Maybe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody else have a comment they'd like to add about this? Floyd Brown, step up to the podium and state your name.
4021 Thomas Drive, Dell City. You're going to keep the position that they have to live in Dell City?
Yes.
Okay.
That's in the city charter. We have to do that.
Okay.
The only way we can not do that is a vote of the people.
Okay. Well, I think that's important to be part of the community,
Yeah.
to know what we need in this community and observe it every day. So I
Right.
think that's important. That sheet that JD provided, is that available to the citizens of Dell City?
Let us look at the sheet and make sure there's nothing sensitive in there, because some of the information could be confidential, and we haven't looked at it with that perspective in mind. Give us a few minutes to look at it, and maybe we can have an answer for you by the end of the meeting. Is that fair enough?
Sure. Sensitivity stuff is what I'm interested in.
You're a sensitive guy.
Yeah. I know we talked about input of commercial businesses and stuff is important to Dell City's progress. I think that has to be combined with the citizens of Dell City.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're working on bringing money to Dell City, but we want to make sure that the citizens of Dell City have a better life here with, you know,
Absolutely. Quality of life is very important. And in speaking to quality of life, we've got new trails coming in our parks. We've got a new exercise outdoor fitness center. We've got all types of things on the books planned for quality of life issues for the citizens of Dell City. That's something that we're already involved in. The dollars are what slow us down, getting the right funding.
Yeah, I understand that, and that has to do with a lot with the grants, like
That has
that
to
you've
do
been
with the grants.
successful with, and
Yep.
if you take this position, we'd like for somebody to take your position, doing the great job that you've been doing with the grants and stuff. So
Right, but we're not going to close his position out until we're certain that it's a good fit.
right,
So he hasn't lost his city planner hat yet.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I understand that,
6 months of working with the mayor, he may be gray-headed, and you never know.
but
Anyway.
he's done such a great job for the Dell City. We need to keep him.
I agree. I agree.
And to go along with the grants and stuff of what's planned, like you were talking about, parks and recreation, those kinds of things, that sheet that we discussed just a few minutes ago, I think that not many people in Dell City know what's going on.
That's true.
And that,
You know,
and
that might
should-
be something that would be good to put on the website. I hadn't really thought of that, but that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah,
Let's-
monthly.
You know how to find our website?
I could probably do it. Take me a little while, but
I'm sure that lady standing in the corner back there would be glad to give you the address and help you. That's Kelly.
okay.
You know, we do a newsletter quarterly that goes out with
Yeah,
the
with your utility
utility
bill, and
bill.
it'll have the website address.
Well, there's that, but my thoughts are that if we were to redact, if there were any sensitive information in this, I don't know what the cost is to include something monthly in the water bill, but it might make sense for us to communicate that way. Since everyone gets a water bill, what if we consider actually sending out managers' reports with the water bill?
There is a report. There's actually a corner on that, what do you call it, a memo? Is it a flyer? What is it that's included with the utility bill? What is it? The newsletter? There is a newsletter, but it's fairly new. I mean, it's only been out the last 2 or 3 months. But look for the newsletter in your utility bill.
but that's very brief.
So,
It is.
It's very brief.
so we're still on our subject of hiring a new city manager.
Yeah, we need to get back to
Okay.
our subject.
Well,
I'm sorry,
anyway,
Floyd.
I
He's
think
right. We
to
got to
make
stay
the
on track.
The citizens of Dell City want to be part of this, they need to know what we're working on. and
Agreed.
And what we have, and, you know, how we solved this problem, and we're moving on to another one.
All right, very
Thank you.
good. Thank you, Floyd. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak to this? We're running kind of long. It's going to be a late meeting. We've got quite a bit on the agenda still. Does anybody on the council have anything to add to this?
I think the next part is just the process that we wanted to talk about. So we're hoping for possibly the 6 month, to try to get this done in 6 months.
Mhm.
And so when should we look at trying to have HR put out the information onto the employment sites?
Well, I think that's something that needs to be coming up fairly soon, within the next month. However, first, we need to be able to adequately describe the person that we're looking for, and that's what this is about. This is the very first baby steps in the process. We want to know who that person is that we're shopping for.
And I think we got that. And hopefully, you know, if we come up with any other ideas, we can pass that along to the HR, to HR or to.
Or bring them to the council.
Yep, but,
We can always talk about them as a non-agenda item.
and so the part for actually advertising is of course you have the Indeed or different employment sites. But the main one I think is that we go ahead and take an advertisement and authorize the city manager to pay for it, to put it into the city manager's newsletter. And that way, hopefully, we can get it out to every city manager that's out and about to see if there's any city managers to try to get.
Maybe
who would
we
be
can
interested.
steal somebody.
And so I think that we should look for our final, do we look at 6 months from March? So October,
I understand.
September
I
or
understand where
October to
you.
close it?
I understand where
close
you're
the
going
bid?
with this, but we don't really have to give ourselves a deadline. We can give ourselves
I
a target, not a deadline.
I think that we want to have a deadline for, if we're going to advertise this, you're going to have to say that we're looking to fill a position
Yep.
on October 1st. Submit your requests. We're going to, you're going to need to move to Dell City within 1 year and go about that.
And that can be a target. We don't have to hold fast to that with the council. And I understand why you're saying you got to have a date to start with. And we can put that date out there, but it's still a target. It's not going to be a drop-dead deadline that the city shuts down if we don't meet that date.
And again, that's not the city, the city wouldn't shut down.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go and put an advertisement into a newsletter, there's got to be a date that we're looking to hire.
There's going to be a date.
And so, within the next month, we could figure out what date that would be. But
Yeah.
again, this gets back to the process. I just want to get this stuff going and to have all the ideas hopefully presented to them. And
Well, the idea here was just to get everybody started in that vein, and that's where we're at now. Now, we really need to move along. We've got a lot of stuff to go forward. This turned into a public discussion. I would entertain a motion to close this discussion.
Make a motion, we close the discussion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The discussion is now closed. We're going to move on to item number 16, sponsorship of the 552 Air Control Wing 2023 Canadian-U.S. Cup. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or deny sponsoring the 552 Air Control Wing 14th Annual Canada versus U.S. Hockey Game Cup in the amount of $2,000. Declare or deny a public purpose. This ice hockey game is between the 552 AWC and its Canadian detachment and will be on April the 6th, 2023 at the Blazers Ice Center. As everyone knows, the 552 is our sponsored group from Tinker Air Force Base, and they do an amazing job for the country, and we try to help them every chance we get. We did this last year, and it came off really well, except somehow I missed the notice on that and didn't make the game, and I hate that, and I'd sure like to make this one. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we approve sponsoring the 552 in the amount of $2,000, declare a public purpose.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
So I went to it last year, and so there's over 500 base personnel there, and it was just an absolute packed place. It was fantastic, the most morale and camaraderie going on, and so it's a very worthwhile event.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry I missed that, but I'll try not to miss this one. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy?
Aye.
Councilman Mooney?
Aye.
Councilman Finch?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion is carried. Move on to item number 17, discussion only, extension of Southeast 24th Street to Sooner Road. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve holding a discussion regarding the extension of Southeast 24th Street to Sooner Road. Direct staff accordingly. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we approve holding a discussion regarding the 24th Street to Sooner Road extension.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy?
Aye.
Councilman Mooney?
Aye.
Councilman Finch?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion carries. The discussion is now open. I brought this back to the council because I would like to show that we are all together in looking at creating a safer path for the school buses that leave Dale City Middle School. The traffic congestion through the neighborhood is horrible right now. And if we extend 24th Street one block to get it across the creek and let the bus traffic exit on Sooner Road and disperse on Sooner Road. And we realize we don't have the funding to build the bridge, buy the property, and put the road in. This is the beginning. This is the starting point. We need to show a united front that we do want to extend 24th Street, and if we are united in that, then we can give staff instructions to start looking for grants, start looking for money, find a way to finance this project. This neighborhood, the Old Town neighborhood, has such limited access. People coming from the north side of town have to come down Vicky Road, or they have to drive all the way around to Sunny Lane and come in that way, which adds, an extra mile or two to their trip, and they have to go through another school zone to get there. And as if that's not bad enough, it would take some of the pressure off of that neighborhood. Right now, the citizens in Old Town are overwhelmed by the traffic that congregates for the middle school, and they don't have an outlet. They have to go out through the neighborhood streets to disperse. This would allow the school buses and the parents, it would give a relief point for all the traffic that's in that neighborhood. And I think we owe it to the citizens of that neighborhood to help them with that traffic problem. I get calls from people, they can't even get in and out of their driveways. There's so much traffic over there. And then you see the school children that are walking to school amongst all that traffic, amongst all those buses and amongst all those cars. They're walking through that mess. How easily would it be for a child to get struck by a car? And that's something I think we would be remiss if we didn't start planning an outlet for the school buses and traffic from Dale City Middle School. So this is just to give staff permission to begin looking for the funding and looking for grants to extend that road. Does anybody else have anything?
So I'm not in favor of this at all. I don't think we've talked to the school or the Mid-Dale School Board or the American Legion or the people that own the property across the street or Oklahoma County. I think this is all premature right now. I think there needs to be a better foundation for us to ever approve something like this.
On Friday, Claudia, what day was that we were there? Thursday of last week, Ms. Brown and I both went and met at the school to see the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got there about 2:30, and there were a couple of cars parked along Linda and some that were along 24th Street. But waited outside until the school let out, and Within about 5 minutes of school letting out, over 50% of the traffic had dissipated. At 9 minutes, there were 0 cars left on those roads. There's been a road built between the parking lot and 20th Street that is for bus traffic. That the purpose of that road was to get the bus traffic off of 22nd Street.
Right.
And so right now, I can't see us building the bridge and extending toward 24th Street under the guise of fixing the traffic or the safety of those students. There's a couple of solutions that can't necessarily be implemented this year to fix that, just because we're at the end of the year, parents are set in their ways, kids are set in their ways. It's a couple of easy changes. I see that we've got some representation from the middle school here this evening, from Mid-Del Schools, and I'm sure we had some discussions afterwards as to what that might look like. So I'd like to hear opinions from her as to what that might look like if we were to extend 24th Street. And sort of the implications that might cause for the school. But I can't get behind extending the school to solve what I don't perceive as currently as a problem, or something that couldn't be fixed with a couple of changes beginning next school year.
If you were going to open up that property, it's definitely not 24th Street.
Excuse me a second. Would you identify yourself for the city clerk?
I'm Mary Stires. I'm the head principal at Del City Middle School.
Hi, Mary.
The one single solitary road that runs closest to our buildings is 24th Street. Our patrons live to the west of the school. They're not going to go out to Sooner. We have good access for our buses who are picking up students on the north side, and they do have came in with the new building, access to get out and head west, head north, or head east, out to Sooner. My belief is opening that up is going to bring a huge amount of extra traffic into that neighborhood. Sooner is a stone's throw away from 40. We've had choppers chasing high-speed pursuits. They hop off off 40 and zip down 24th. Now they have an entire building of students. 40 is a major thoroughfare. Just hop off at Sooner, swing by, grab yourself a 6th grader, and you're back on the highway, and you're gone. With human trafficking the way that it is, that 24th Street alone is the closest street that sits to our building. I'm not opposed to other streets, but that one causes me great concern. As Councilman mentioned, it's a 9-minute, it's not perfect, and I'm not sure the patrons realize you're going to have to widen that road, which is going to infringe on their property. And there isn't very much to infringe on our property. There just isn't.
There's only about 15, maybe 20 feet from the door to the curb of 24th Street. I mean, the proximity of that school to that road it's very close. So that was one of the concerns when I was down there.
Major concern for me. Also, kids from the high school who want to cut through there to get to Sooner, to get to fast food at lunch is going to increase traffic tremendously. And again, our kids largely ride buses. They ride a bus, which they catch on the north side. We load, they're gone in about 10 minutes, and they carry them to where they're going. Buses are not our major issue. Children who live within that 1.5 miles, who don't meet the criteria for a bus, but want their parents to pick them up, they don't want to walk. That congests that street for about 9 minutes a day. Is it optimal? No. But I believe opening 24th Street would be a far graver hazard than not. So
one of the other things that I was just thinking about was the time that school lets out. That's shift change at Tinker, 3 o'clock traffic, swing shift. Sooner Road at that time of day it's a mess. And so adding more bus traffic, or, you know, having buses having to get out that direction or potentially going that way seems like it could be an issue also.
As Councilman Gandy said, there are a few other less invasive options that we can look at for next year to see if we could change that flow. Overall, like I said, granting traffic from Sooner and ultimately 40, easy on, easy off, granting them access to the proximity of our school, I do not believe is a good idea. We'd like to try a few things first before you start putting in motion a
Okay.
major plan to,
Okay.
to
That's
do
the
that.
first time I've heard that side of that coin.
I'm glad to share it, glad to share it.
I'm glad you came.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Yes, ma'am. All
So-
right.
So I was on the council back 8 years ago, so back in 2015, when they were looking at closing Delcrest or choosing the school to do. And the choice was this, do we keep Delcrest or do you keep Kerr? And with the large amount of land, with Kerr being in the center of the city, it made more sense to go with that. But one of the major concessions that was made a lot, you know, from the city with the school board and with the superintendent is that 24th Street or 24th Street would be opened up to sooner. I've talked to Mr. Cobb back on Friday, and Dr. Cobb still would like us to consider and try to get 24th Street opened. His thought, which is not brought up, is that the mile and a half that you talk about goes to 41st Street. And so from 41st to 82nd Street, which is on the other side of I-240, are all the students that go to Kerr or go to Del City Middle School. And so you have a tremendous amount of people, whether it's from, you know, Frolic Meadows, that you can drive out, get onto Sooner Road, and quickly get down there, vice having to go through, you know, all of the neighborhoods to get to Kerr. So I think, you know, there's reasons why we were looking at 24th Street to be opened, and it was mainly for the buses, but also for every single, you know, if you don't ride the bus, which a lot of people don't, coming from Frolic Meadows, you're going to be driving a car. So every car that has to come along with it. So it's not a simple yes and no. Another thing that I've heard as well is just the tremendous amount of cars that could be cutting through the neighborhood that would be a negative side.
Sure.
So it's a very difficult decision to decide which way to go.
That's why we're discussing. Okay, some good arguments. Anybody else?
I had discussed with a constituent that called me about something else the other day, but she was talking about that, and she had heard it was 27th Street that was going through it. She was very unhappy with, and I let her know that's not what we had. So by discussing this in open forum here, that maybe it'll get out that it's not 27th Street.
If you look at that neighborhood, and, oh, I'm sorry, Ron, go ahead. Step up to the podium, identify yourself, please. The president of Del Air Neighborhood Watch Association, right there.
Yeah. My name is Ron McCall. I live at 3403 South Wolford. You know, I've heard a lot of discussion about the school, and I can understand that and tend to agree. I know, listening to both the fire department and police department, I believe they're strong advocates of getting something built between Vicky and Sooner. If something happens on 15th that blocks the fire truck from getting to Walmart, they've got to go all the way around.
Yep.
Police are the same way. So there's other issues besides just the school. And who says it has to be a straight street? Yeah. You ever been through Del Air? Exactly. We've got one through street, straight street, from 29th to 44th. Pardon? No, it's not Vicky. It's Wolford.
Wolford, yeah.
Now, Epperly does go all the way through, but you got to make a, yeah. So again, it does not have to be a straight shot. Start at 22nd, work your way down 19th, whatever it takes. But something needs to go in between Sticky and Sooner.
Right. Okay.
Mayor, I would say that maybe that's how that should be worded on any other agendas that you have discussion. Opening up the region, not necessarily designating 24th Street, because I do believe there are other options.
We're going to run right through your office. No.
You know what? If you do that, then I don't have to go to work every day.
No. Okay, is there any other discussion? I would entertain a motion to close. Oh,
Since we are having this discussion, Claudia Brown, 3340 Delaware Place, looking at the map and having some discussions with the principal, since we are having a discussion, we did see that 20th Street might possibly be a closer access, and maybe going through and just creating something between 20th and the other side of the school where that bus lane goes through. There hopefully would be access maybe to get you to Main Street at least, and then, you know, take Main Street there. So there are other options. So as you're discussing this, besides just the option of 24th, I would hope that you would consider, and even talking to an engineer, I'm sure that they would have maybe better ideas on cost efficiency, because having to do a bridge, having to have a bridge over a ditch does seem like it might be easier and more cost effective in other areas than the ones that have been proposed on 24th Street due to, I don't know, level changes, things like that. Thank you again.
okay. Any more discussion? I would entertain a motion to close the discussion.
Make a motion, we close the discussion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The discussion is now closed.
Mayor, could I interject something here? Could we potentially skip to item 22 and 23? We've got those two special use permits. We've got so many items on this agenda. I hate
I
to
know,
see the
it's a-
children staying late and,
Yeah. We can skip to item 22, special use permit. We're still on the main agenda. Special use permit, PCUR 64623. It's 4628 Southeast 29th Street, Kids Inspirations. Item A, we'll take these separate, A and B. Public hearing. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or deny holding a public hearing on the above referenced application for special use permit. An application by Shelley Smart, the owner of Kids Inspiration and potential tenant of 4628 Southeast 29th Street, has applied for a specific use permit to allow the use of retail sales and services, used merchandise in an AC zoning district. The applicant plans to operate a thrift store along with arts and crafts store with classes. Do I hear a motion?
make a motion, we approve holding a public hearing about 4628 Southeast 29th Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney. Mayor votes aye. The public hearing portion is now open. Kelly, are you going to start this?
Yes, I will start this.
All right.
Kelly Abel, City Planner. I do want to clarify one thing that may have been confusing is that the specific use is required because of the used merchandise. Sales of used merchandise is not allowed in an AC zoning district, or I shouldn't say it's not allowed. It is not a use permitted by right.
Right.
It is a use that is permitted by review. Kids Inspiration was originally granted occupancy in December of 2020 under another specific use permit that was located at 4636 Southeast 29th Street. Under Del City zoning ordinance section 4-463, once a specific use permit has been granted, the use cannot be enlarged, extended, increased, or relocated without a new application for specific use. The publishing requirements were met on January 31st of 2023. Property owners were notified on February 1st of 2023. There were no protests. Planning Commission, with a 6-2 vote, recommended for approval for the arts and crafts store with classes, as this is a use permitted by right, with the following conditions: that all fire and building inspections be completed and the correction list be done in a timely manner. That all building signs be professionally constructed by a licensed contractor permitted in accordance with Dell City Ordinance Chapter 18 signs, which, broken down says no wooden, metal, or vinyl signs will be placed on the building, in the right-of-ways, the sides, or the back of the property. Also in that ordinance is 70% of the windows need to be cleared. You can't have paint, you can't have signage covering more than 30% of your windows. And that all landscaping requirements be met in accordance with the Dell City Zoning Ordinance A-465, which, again, broken down is to aesthetically improve the land by adding trees, shrubs, lawns, ground cover, flowers, combination of ornamental items, all the above. And then also that the parking lot had to be brought up to current requirements, and the current requirements would be the parking lot requires 2 ADA compliant handicap spaces. The parking lot must be painted and striped. For any parking spaces that are facing Southeast 29th Street, they're going to need curb blockers to keep cars from rolling out into oncoming traffic, and an ADA compliant ramp be installed. The Planning Commission also voted with a 6-2 vote to recommend to table the specific use permit part of this case for the used merchandise until our 2024-2044 comprehensive plan has been rewritten and the plan is adopted into ordinance, so that we have a clear vision of what the redevelopment goals are for that focus area on Southeast 29th Street.
Okay, thank you. Shelley, would you like to address the council? Shelley. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so I'm Shelley Smart, and I own Kids Inspirations. I appreciated every one of you that came by last week, and you gave me some wonderful suggestions on things that I needed to be aware of and change. I took them very seriously. As far as the thrift store name, I wasn't really sure what to call it because we don't have just used merchandise. I actually have booths in there, and I rent the booths out to different vendors with different products. Some of them are handmade products, some are antiques, there's a lot of them that are brand new items. So it's not a thrift store traditionally. It's more of a vintage mall. So I have considered changing or rebranding the whole thing. As far as the sign goes, thank you, Mr. Dean. He referred me to a sign person who gave me a quote, and so this is what the new sign will be. That will be on the building, and then he's also made a sign that will replace the liquor store out near the road. As far as the parking lot, we are all ADA compliant. I have a ramp right there by my door. I have a handicap right there next to my door. There's another one located on the other side of the parking lot, so that we have 2 on the parking lot in the vicinity. There are no parking that is facing 29th Street, so I wouldn't need any blocks there. You can see the lines are clearly made on all of the parking spaces. There may be 1 or 2 that might need a little bit of touch-up, but they are there. And as far as the beautifying, I took that also as a good suggestion because I've been trying to attract more people to that shopping area from when I was at my other location. I went and I bought some really pretty pots. I put flowers in them, and I am setting them out on each side of the door. And then I'd like to, at a later date, have a permanent one made out in front to match the building with the brick and have flowers in it. And I didn't want to table this for a whole year because I'm paying rent there every single month, and it's not cheap. And I have to make a living somehow, and so I didn't want to wait a year to table this because I turned my application in way before this whole beautification thing began, as far as I knew. And so I just was wanting it to kind of be addressed. I know that the arts and craft part is been sort of okayed, and I've done everything. JD came out, he told me what needed fixed inside the building. I have already started on that. The inspector came out, he told me what I needed to improve. I've already done all of that, and I have to make 2 more calls to OG&E to have that taken care of for the meters in the back that are not labeled. They will be this week. So everything that has been asked, I have addressed, and if they have any more suggestions, I'm open and willing to do whatever I need to do.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
So I don't have any, go ahead.
Show us pictures. We're just gonna pass around some pictures she took today of the store and outside, just jogging.
I highlighted where the new signs will be.
But you're not going to have a wooden pallet painted yellow?
No, I will not.
Thank you.
And I will not put any more things out there like that.
Thank you.
And this is some of the booths that, the types of merchandise, and I wrote under what type of merchandise, whether it was new, used, or antiques, or
So when we had our vote with the Planning Commission, City Council, when we had our joint meeting, we were talking about, when we put in the moratorium against this special use permits, that in particular, if there's something going on, that there was a grandfathering in / city council option for us to get through to go and approve this. And so this is in particular one situation where Shelley has started the application before that meeting, before that moratorium went into effect. And that this is definitely something that we should consider and not use the moratorium as a reason to stop that. Next thing is that the idea about the comprehensive plan is for the future and going on. Right now we have the current, today's date for the next 5 years. And we know that the comprehensive plan is going to take a while before things start changing. So we should be encouraging the business owners to hopefully use it and use it in a manner that's consistent with the neighborhoods. And I think that mall, the mall that she's in,
The vintage
would
mall.
would be very would complement the neighborhood. It would not be adverse to it. So I think that with her, so going back to the aesthetics, is the 1965 7-Eleven mall doesn't have very much room for a single business owner to go and aesthetically improve that building. We can't go out there and plant trees. There's not very much room between her and 29th Street. So a lot of things are not practical. Some of the ideas she's come up with is a nice idea.
Yeah, the flower pots,
The
that's a
flower
nice
pot's
touch.
Very, very nice idea. And
Would those flower pots impede ADA compliance?
I think they would need to be possibly put on the north side so that that you wouldn't, because the sidewalks are not very wide, and so impeding that part would be there.
I see that you were ticketed. Could you tell me why you were ticketed?
so my understanding is that because I was advertising on Facebook that I had booths for rent, which I wanted to make sure I could fill up my booths before I even attempted to open a store He came in and gave me a ticket for doing business without a business license, but there was no customers, I had no register, and I had no change to give to anyone that wanted to purchase anything. So I don't know why I was ticketed, but that was my understanding of why. They thought I was doing business because I was advertising for the booth. And so I guess it was just, I don't know.
And I'm showing here that you didn't file for a remodeling permit.
I didn't remodel anything, nothing. The way that I rented it is the way I moved in, and that's the way it still is. I don't know what was done prior to when I was there. I have no idea.
Would it be called remodeling by the fact that you've put up those little separate booths? But I don't think she's changed any walls or anything.
Yeah, they're not
Now, I
walls.
came the other day, and it was before you had opened for the day or whatever.
Right.
And it was kind of in disarray, but, you know.
Right.
She's putting things
I'm still trying to
together.
get everything-
It looks much better on your pictures here.
Yes.
I agree with Ms. Abel that we need to get some of the signage off the windows. I think it would,
Okay.
the cleaner look would become more inviting. If you have all this stuff on the windows, it might look disorganized, which may make people think it's disorganized inside as well. So I
Okay.
would suggest you do something along that line.
I think the intent for the limited percentage of writing on the windows is if a police officer drives by there at night and somebody's broken in, he can see inside. Or if a fire breaks out, the fire department can see the problem inside. And I think that's the intent for the clear window space. It's a safety issue. It's not really cosmetic.
Yeah, and that's not a problem. I don't mind.
There's
And
a
I
gr-
also, another thing that I did want to say is that I am having signs made that says no donations left on the premises, because I don't want stuff cluttered out in front of the place just because they think that has, you know, some merchandise that's used. So that's going to be addressed in a new sign will be
It
put
might
up.
help when you get the different signage that says Vintage Mall rather than thrift store. People's going to think.
Yeah, that would help a
just
lot.
Dump it off.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
and
good.
it's in the process, so.
So we can say moving forward that if this was granted, then you would advertise a vintage mall.
Correct.
Okay.
I think the positivity of her changing the liquor store over and getting rid of the retail liquor, the little triangle sign on the side, that's going to be really nice for the neighborhood, is to get, is to move that out. So I don't see any problems with this.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, you know, it was empty for a very, very long time, and she has filled a gap in there with the craft events that you were doing, which I didn't think was a very good idea at all, I have to say, but it turns out that you're having a lot of business, apparently, a lot of participants and that sort of thing, so.
Yeah, I actually teach to a school by me, and they are waiting and can't wait until I can reopen so that they can start coming over there twice a month to do theirs. And then I have homeschool kids that I also do classes with amongst just walk-ins. and
Just less clutter and more organization, I think, would be what I would suggest.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a lot more organized since she was even there.
So the planning commission made a recommendation of 6-2 to proceed with just the arts and crafts side, correct? Is Ms. Abel in
Kelly,
here?
would you,
Yes, planning commission approved the arts and crafts store with the classes, 6 to 2. It was approved. But that doesn't require their approval. No, right.
And I'm trying to clarify that it was 6-2 that the arts and crafts stay, but it was 6-2. I'm spinning it positively. The 6-2 is actually in favor of not approving the used merchandise.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was. I think that the 6-2 was about exactly what they were asked about, arts and crafts. And everything else that we're taking is conjecture, because the problem was that they can't approve a special use permit. So because they ended up doing that. It was not about the
Well, there's no moratorium on special use permits currently because it hasn't been voted on by them or by us at this point. So it's not,
But they knew that that's what they wanted to have done. And that's why they, from what I understand from that meeting, is that they did not, there was confusion and all the rest about that. And
Well,
I would not take any of this advice, and I think we should go about.
We are hearing the item in front of us. As it is written, that's what we're talking about today. So it's the item as written on the agenda.
Is it 6-2 in favor of approving the special use permit?
No.
Was it 6-2 against the table? Okay.
I think, you know, I would not be opposed to the vintage mall idea. I do not want a yellow pallet that says thrift store. That's, yeah. So if she's agreeable to a amended motion that specifically says the name will be Vintage Mall, then I wouldn't have an objection to it. But the motion needs to be made that the name must be Vintage Mall.
I just have a concern with a previous specific use permit that was granted that we lost control of, or not necessarily lost control of, but did not happen as we had expected it to happen, or were told it was going to happen.
That's true, and if we enforce the motion as it is voiced, then we will have control. The falling down, I think I know the example you're talking about, and yeah, that could still be enforced. It hasn't. So, okay, any more discussion? Does anybody have anything else?
Finally, I would say that the part of our motion is her signs are already being made, so, yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that that's going to be followed.
Yeah. But if we put it into the motion, then it has to stay that way. Okay. All right. Anything else? Yeah. What's the exact name? No. What's the exact name of the Vintage Mall and More? So if we put that in the motion, that the name of the business will be the Vintage Mall and More, you will be bound. You can't change it to Thrift Anything or. Thank you. Okay. Is everybody agreeable?
Quick question for Kelly Abel. Yes. Quick question. So if she does this with the modification there in 10 days, is that something we can easily fix on our application process? Sure.
Good point. Is there any further discussion? I would entertain a motion to close the public.
I'll make a motion to deny the special use permit.
We're not there yet. We're still in public discussion. We have to close the public discussion first.
Make a motion to close public discussion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. The public discussion portion is now closed. We move on to item B, council action. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or approve with modifications or deny the above referenced application for a specific use permit to allow the use of retail sales and services, used merchandise in an AC zoning district. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny the special use permit.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
No.
Councilman Dean.
No.
Mayor votes no. That is
I make a
denied.
motion that we approve the above reference permit with the modification to name it the Vintage Mall and More. And use to permit to allow the use of retail sales and services. Use
Second.
merchandise in the AC zoning district.
Are you done?
Now I'm done.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
No.
Councilman Finch.
No.
The mayor votes aye. The motion carries. Let's move on to item number 23, special use permit, PCUR 64723, 3009 Epperly Drive, Suite A, Black Lantern Tattoo. Item A, public hearing. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or deny holding a public hearing on the above referenced application for specific use permit, an application by Cassandra Crosby, co-owner of Black Lantern Tattoo and potential tenant of 3009 Epperly Drive, Suite A, has applied for a specific use permit to allow the use of classification of body piercing and tattoo establishment in an AC commercial zoning district. The applicant plans to operate a tattoo establishment by appointment only. Do I hear a motion on the public hearing portion?
Make a motion, we approve holding a public hearing on 3009 Epperly Drive, Suite A, Black Lantern Tattoo.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion carries. The public hearing portion is now open. Kelly Abel, would you like to address the council?
Kelly Abel, City Planner. This is the same as last. They had a specific use permit when they were located over at 5500 East Reno. They have moved, so they have to reapply for a new specific use permit. Previously, they were named Wicked Sticker Tattoo and was located at 5500 East Reno in the Sooner Market Mall. And due to maintenance issues with the landlord at Sooner Market Mall, they would like to move their establishment to 3009 Epperly Drive, Suite A. Publishing requirements were met on January 31st, 2023. Property owners were notified on February 1st, 2023. There were no protests, and Planning Commission, with an 8-0 vote, recommended approval for Black Lantern Tattoo with the following conditions. They approved it 8-0 because it is outside the boundary line of the 29th Street, 15th Street redevelopment. Again, same as the last time, all building signs be professionally constructed, which they do not plan on having a building sign. They're only going to have a sign on their door that has their name and their hours of operation. All landscaping requirements be met, and the parking lot requirements be met. Parking lot needs to be striped, cleaned up, ADA compliant, parking spaces. That's it.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else? Are the owners here?
Do you all want to speak? You don't have to. It's not required. Just asking if you. I'll speak. I'll do some speaking.
Yeah.
So currently they're in Ward 4. They're just down the street from my house. They're good neighbors. I will say, I'm sad that your sign is not going to be up on the building because I really like the sign. But I understand why you're not doing that. The new building, it looks great. So.
Well, I think that the reason why we're not doing a sign is more financial than anything else. I mean, it's gonna, everything we've been through with Sean, I don't know if the city council is familiar with this guy, but.
Yeah, we won't talk about him.
Everything we've been through with that is gonna cost, us a lot of money that we're trying to recover in court from him. But at this time, we're financially strapped, so that's the best we can do. We do wanna put some signage on the door. We would like to beautify the side lawn that faces Epperly. It's a vacant grassy area. There is a problem with some drainage there. And so we're thinking in the future, we would like to put a patio out there, maybe some lighting.
That would be a remodel permit at a future time.
and possibly a sign at a later date. We just
And
don't
a sign
know-
permit would come at a later
Right,
date.
how
Yeah.
you guys would want to do that.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we're fine with being a little incognito, very low-key, so,
Just be aware that when you do approach the sign, when you get ready to put up a sign, it has to meet the sign ordinances.
okay.
Sir,
Okay.
Now,
could we,
I
could we
did have
get your,
one other- go ahead, I'm
could we
sorry.
get your name and address,
Oh,
please?
I'm Michael Keeley, 4004 Lamar Drive, off of that little Del Air we were talking about earlier, that windy. Now, out front, and this, one of the landlady represents owners of property, there are 2 steel poles with an available sign on there. Now, is that a temporary, do we know, is that a temporary, is that a sign, is that something that we could use, let's say we wrapped that available sign with a decal that said Black Lantern Tattoo?
Yeah. That, okay.
That would be all I would ask of you. Keeley, Keeley.
Okay.
And actually, my wife is the owner. Her name is Cassandra.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So my business is neighbors to there, and I think that his business would be able to move in and make no change, or, would only improve things with it actually filling up the center there. So I think
Sure.
it's a nice addition. That's where they're at. I'm not sure which suite they're going to be in. And so the one comment to you guys is be careful with the drainage. We fixed the drainage by deepening the ditch going out to 29th Street. So if things start backing up, make sure that you get in touch with us, touch with the city, so hopefully we can get that cleared
Okay,
back out.
is there anything else discussion?
Make a motion, we close the discussion.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The public portion of the discussion is now closed. We'll move on to item B, council action. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or approve with modification or deny the above referenced application for a specific use permit to allow the use of tattoo and body piercing establishment in an AC zoning district. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Finch. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion carries. Welcome to Central Del City. You're already in Del City, so. Now, welcome to Ward 3. Yeah. All right, very good. Let's go back. Okay. Let's go to item 18. We're going to go back to item 18. It's a discussion-only item, remodel of the bathrooms at City Hall. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve holding a discussion concerning remodeling the bathrooms at City Hall. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve having a presentation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Dean. Aye. Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The discussion is now open. We probably, if we had a list of the worst bathrooms in the city of Del City, I think our ground floor bathroom here at City Hall would be rated very high on that list. The drains do not drain adequately. The ventilation does not ventilate adequately. We all know, is there anybody that has not been in the ground floor restrooms here at City Hall?
Go visit them.
Do we need to describe this? No, they're not. So this discussion is to kind of give direction to staff. whether they can go ahead and send out a request for quote. Is that correct? Yes, sir. State that right. Thank you. So is there anybody that might have a reason they don't want to repair these bathrooms on ground floor at City Hall?
My only concern with giving this directive is we made a couple of changes to those drawings in the last meeting.
We're just talking about the bathrooms, not the.
Yeah, so we added a water closet. I think we added a water
That was
closet.
at the senior center.
No, that
Was
we
it this
we
one?
made changes here. Yeah,
Okay.
and so that's my only concern. If we can direct staff accordingly with those changes, maybe be able to see those changes prior to directing.
Maybe staff could send that out and
Yes.
refresh our memories.
Yeah, that's my only concern with this item. Otherwise,
Okay.
I'm ready to move forward on that.
All right. We can't vote on it. All we're doing is giving staff a direction to go. Do we have a consensus on that? Is that something does anybody object to it?
I wish I had $1 for every time this has been on the agenda since I've been on council.
I wish you had $1 for that too, because that would be $3.
I've been here 6 years, sir.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to close the discussion.
Make a motion, we close the discussion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The discussion is now closed. We'll move on to item number 19, remodel of the old library space at the community center. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve holding a discussion concerning the remodeling of the food prep area, the tile floor, and the bathrooms in the area where Dale City Library was previously located at the community center. Now, this is discussion only, and I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve holding a discussion on the library, on the old library.
And I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Gandy,
Aye.
Councilman Mooney,
Aye.
Councilman Finch, and Mayor votes aye. It's getting late, folks. The discussion is now open on the library, and I would like to talk directly to the acting city manager for a moment. First of all, before we know if funds are available, we need to have an idea of the price. Is it possible for staff to send out a request for quote on these items on this agenda item?
So you're wanting a request for proposal on just the food preparation area, the catering kitchen as it's called, which used to be the library's book drop-off area.
Book drop.
The tile flooring in just that area, just inside of the food prep area, and the bathroom, the tile replacement, and the bathroom updating to ADA compliance.
Correct.
Just those two items, not
That's
the
it.
storage area, not
Nope.
the large space, just
No.
two spaces
No.
to start.
Just and I'm going to read it directly off here so I'm not confusing it. The food prep area, the tile floor, the bathrooms in the area, and the tile floor in the bathroom. So basically, we're talking about remodeling the bathrooms and the food prep area. That is all.
I have a question. Do we know how close they are on getting the new plans drawn up?
That was halted. The new plans were to be drawn up, and that was halted. The city manager at the time said we can't make any moves on it until we discuss it on the horseshoe again. So a pin was put in it, and we have not given him instruction to bring us new plans. This is the reason for this discussion. Do we want to move forward with this, or is this dead in the water? That's where we're going with this.
I think this is a reasonable way to go for both of these projects. My question about the flooring is thinking about, the different ideas that we have. Why don't we tile the whole
7,000 square foot.
The whole 7,000 square foot.
And then it would be useful.
And it would be useful for meetings or whatever, or to go and do our alternative thoughts and plans. So I think that either way, a small amount of tiles that might get removed just for putting a wall or something, but at least that way everything would be usable in that space.
Right now, it's just a storage
Right.
facility.
So I think that we,
So,
I
so
think
the
that the
reason
tile
for
should be
this
the whole-
discussion is to give direction to staff in what do we want to do. So I think that's reasonable.
Right.
Tile the whole 7,000 square foot, not just the feeding.
Everything would.
It would match, and it would be usable space at that time. Is that?
What if we, so since we did put a stop to the plans of the remodel, what if we start with reenacting and getting the bathroom, the storage,
Get
and
the
that?
drawings brought up to speed.
Because it's this, I have the same concern as I do with the bathroom, is we don't actually know what it's going to look like, and if we go out and get a quote on something that we're not sure about, that's just a concern I
So,
have.
so perhaps the next step is to instruct staff to authorize the updated drawings be presented to the council. Is that clear enough to everybody?
And so the updated ones for this construction project would not have the different rooms. It would just have
Nope.
these
It would
things
just
plus
these-
the tile.
Just match this criteria.
Just the three things that we all agreed on last
Right.
time, basically, which was
Okay.
the bathroom, storage, and the food prep.
Okay. Is that
So,
clear enough for everybody?
One thing I do want to bring up is staff does have recommendations regarding this space. One of them is that the tiles stay only in the sections of the kitchen area or the food prep area and the bathroom, and that we consider using carpet squares for everything in there to help with the acoustics. So is that something that you mind that we put both of them on there so we can at least evaluate both sides of that
Do
coin?
that. I think that's
certainly.
reasonable. Yeah, they give us an A/B option.
I think
Right.
that is
all
one
right?
of the limiting factors of the other rooms in there, is since we've got the really nice wood floors, it does limit what can take place in that, so carpet seems perfect.
Okay. All right. Is everybody on the same page now? We're all good? I would entertain a motion to,
If I could just make sure I have it right, so we'll ask the architect to create the drawings for the bathroom, food prep and storage, empty space, blank space, which, the two options for that.
either carpet or tile.
And then bring it to us for another discussion before we release the RFP.
Absolutely.
And sorry, one last part, which is in front of, so on the north side of that wall, the bathroom wall, there's the in-between space where there was the,
The north
the
side.
so where the janitors, where the janitors
That'll be shown in the drawing for the bathroom.
Right, right.
Because we took that janitor's closet out and added another
Another
stall.
stall, yep.
Water
so-
closet.
Yep,
Yeah, so that'll be shown in the drawing.
that's right.
Oh, hi, Floyd. Go ahead, we're still open.
Lloyd Brown, 4021 Thomas Drive.
Still.
Yes. I understood from the sale of the property by Walmart that that money was to go to the old library to develop a senior citizen area.
That is exactly right.
And adolescent meeting place. What's happened to that?
Yeah, go ahead and answer that.
There is currently around $350,000 remaining in that fund. The sale of the property was approximately $540,000 minus closing cost. So about the $500,000, the first renovation went to the Middale Youth and Family Center. Whatever the grant did not cover, because the grant covered the ADA compliance
That's the place
on Linda Lane.
Linda,
Yes, sir.
right behind Arby's.
And so the money went to that. The remaining funds that we have that the city clerk and I are working with are around the 350 to 380 range, give or take, somewhere in that. I don't have the exact number, we'd have to pull, but that's what we have left. And the initial cost of the senior center, just estimate, was $690,000. So it became far outside the scope of originally intended as of now.
So we've pared it back. We're not abandoning the project, but we're going to do it a little more piecemeal than we thought we were going to have to.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Make a motion, we close the discussion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Finch. Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
The mayor votes aye. The public portion or the discussion is now closed. Item number 20, surplus items, discussion, consideration, possible action to declare, deny the items listed in Exhibit A to the council agenda as surplus to the city's needs. Authorize final disposition of these items as approved by the city manager. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to declare items listed in Exhibit A to the council agenda as surplus to the city's needs. Authorize final disposition of these items as approved by the city manager.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Finch. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The motion carries. Hey, don't jinx us. Item 21 is discussion only. Oklahoma County ARPA grant. Discussion, consideration, possible action, approve or deny holding a discussion regarding Oklahoma County's ARPA grant application and the potential projects that could be funded if grant funds were awarded to Dell City. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, we approve holding a discussion regarding Oklahoma County's ARPA grant application.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. The discussion is now open and the floor is yours. J.D. Hawk.
So for those of you that have received the Commissioner, Oklahoma County Commissioner's newsletters, they have released ARPA money in addition to the big projects they're doing with the Oklahoma County Jail and some others. They have about a little less than $5 million to allocate to cities and towns in Oklahoma County for water and sewer projects. There are a few other items in there, but water and sewer being what we would qualify for. So that being the case, the application is very basic and open. It's almost a 1 to 2 page application where you submit whatever you'd like for your water project, for your sewer line project, and if they have the money, if they can go for it, great. My recommendations, as you all are aware that we've discussed in previous meetings, the water clarifiers at the water treatment plant need to be sorely updated from 1960s to now. And so my recommendation on these grants with everyone's approval is we start off with a high number and we ask them for $950,000 to replace a clarifier. We use the exact same application and resubmit it, offering to pay for half a clarifier. And then we have a different option available for either $100,000 or $250,000, basically giving them options. With it only having less than $5 million, them giving 1/5 of their project just to Dell City doesn't sound like something that can happen, but you never know until you ask. We may be the only person asking. So my thought process would be I submit 4 different applications at 4 different levels of money to cover a portion all the way up to the completion of that project to help offset whatever costs we have.
I like it.
Do it.
Any thoughts, objections?
Any further discussion?
And Melissa said she'll help me.
Was there anything about water meters as well, or just about the clarifiers?
We can do the same with the water meters. We can ask just to help offset the cost, either $100,000, $250,000, $500,000. We can submit the same thing for the water meters and see if that's an option for them too. The thought is submit them all, and if we get 1 grant out of it, great. If we get 2 grants out of it, great.
Even better.
But we'll take anything we can get. And a reminder for those of you that know your county commissioners or you're friends with them, you see them at the mall, you see them anywhere else, please tell them, hey, Dell City could use the money. Shameless plug.
Okay. Any further discussion? That was not a public discussion, so we can move on. I would entertain a motion to recess to the DCMSA.
Make a motion, we recess to DCMSA.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Take a vote. Councilman Gandy.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Finch.
Aye.
Councilman Mooney.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. We are now recessed to the regular meeting of the Dell City Municipal Services Authority for March 6th, 2023. I call the meeting to order. And Melissa, would you call the roll?
Trustee Gandy.
Here.
Trustee Mooney.
Here.
Trustee Finch.
Here.
Trustee Dean.
Here.
And Chairman Eason.
Chairman is here. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak to the DCMSA on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, any trustees have anything? Seeing none, manager's report.
Nothing at this time, sir.
Item number 5 is minutes. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of DCMSA for February 21, 2023. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Trustee Dean.
Aye.
Trustee Gandy.
Aye.
Trustee Mooney.
Aye.
Trustee Finch.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion carries. Is there any further trust input?
Make a motion, we adjourn to OMRF.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Trustee Gandy.
Aye.
Trustee Finch.
Aye.
Trustee Dean.
Aye.
Trustee Mooney.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are now recessed to the,
I skipped the DCEDA since they both
Are
have
we-
executive session.
do what?
I skipped the DCEDA since we both have executive session.
We're on to retirements.
We are now, I will call to order the Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund regular meeting for March 6, 2023. Melissa, would you call the roll?
Trustee Gandy.
Aye.
Trustee Mooney.
Here.
Trustee Finch. Trustee Dean.
Here.
And Chairman Neeson.
Chairman is here. Is there anybody in the public that would like to address the Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund on non-agenda items? Seeing none, any trustees have anything? Seeing none. Item 4 is minutes. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the OMRF on February 6, 2023.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Take the vote. Trustee Gandy.
Aye.
Trustee Finch.
Aye.
Trustee Dean.
Aye.
Trustee Mooney.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion carries. Item number 5 is authorized signatory for Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve or deny updating the authorized signatory for the Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund and designating an authorized agent. Authorized committee chairman to endorse authorized agent notification.
Make a motion, we approve updating the authorized signature of the Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund and designating an authorized agent, authorized committee chairman to endorse authorized agent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Trustee Gandy.
Aye.
Trustee Dean.
Aye.
Trustee Finch.
Aye.
Trustee Mooney.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion carries. Any further committee input?
Make a motion, we adjourn to DCEDA.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Trustee Gandy.
Aye.
Trustee Dean.
Aye.
Trustee Finch. Trustee Mooney.
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. We will now adjourn to the EDA.
This is the Del City Economic Development Authority. Melissa, will you call roll, please?
Trustee Gandy.
Here.
Trustee Mooney.
Here.
Trustee Dean. Trustee Eason.
Here.
And Chairwoman Finch.
Here. Is there any public input at this time? Seeing none, is there any trustee input? Item 4, consent docket, discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the following items by unanimous consent with one motion. A, minutes of January 17th, 2023 regular meeting. Approve minutes of the regular meeting of the DCEDA of January 17th, 2023. B, minutes of January 31st, 2023 special meeting. Approve minutes of the special meeting of DCEDA of January 31st, 2023. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the consent docket, items A and B.
Second.
Take a vote. Trustee Dean.
Aye.
Trustee Gandy.
Aye.
Trustee Mooney.
Aye.
Trustee Eason.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Item 5, executive session. Discussion, consideration, possible action, if any, to approve recessing to executive session pursuant to the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act 25 OS 301 for the purpose of the following. A, economic development, discussion concerning confidential matters pertaining to economic development, including the transfer of property, financing, and the creation of a proposal to entice a business to locate within the city of Del City, including but not limited to 5213 Southeast 15th and 4525 Brent Cove Drive, as provided in 25 OS 307 C11, as the public disclosure of the matters discussed would interfere with the development of products or services, and public disclosure would violate the confidentiality of businesses. B, purchase or appraisal of real property. Discussion concerning the purchase of appraisal of real property, including but not limited to Northeast 10th and Sunny Lane Road, pursuant to 25 OS 307B3.
Make a motion that we recess to executive sessions for both item A and B after recessing to the Del City Council meeting.
It's late.
It's getting late, yes.
Second.
Madam Attorney, do we have just cause to hold executive session tonight?
Yes, Madam Chair, these do qualify for executive session, in my opinion.
Can I get a motion to adjourn back to the City Council, please?
You have the motion in a second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Take a vote. Trustee Gandy?
Aye.
Trustee Dean?
Aye.
Trustee Mooney?
Aye.
Trustee Eason?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
My motion included a recess back to council.
So now we're back to
We're
council
back
meeting.
to council meeting. Thank you.
Resume the Del City City Council meeting. We're at item number 24, executive session. Discussion, consideration, possible action, if any, to approve recessing to executive session pursuant to Oklahoma Open Meeting Act 25 OS 301 for the purpose of the following. Item A is pending investigations, claims, and actions. Discussion concerning confidential matters pertaining to pending investigations, claims, and actions, including but not limited to Austin Eberly versus the City of Del City, Oklahoma County District Court, CJ 2022-435, pursuant to 25 OS 307B4, as the council, on advice of its attorney, has determined that disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the council to process the claims or conduct pending investigations or litigations in the public interest. Item B is employment matters. Discussion concerning the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of any individual, salaried public officer or employee, including but not limited to city attorney, pursuant to 25 OS 307B1. City attorney, does this qualify for executive session?
Yes, Mayor, in my opinion, these are appropriate for executive session.
I will entertain a motion to recess to executive session.
Make a motion that we recess to executive session for items A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Take the vote. Councilman Gandy?